think now we're going to take some questions.
Yes, we do. A couple of questions came in from the electronically. One of the questions that came in was, has the city been able to realize the savings that were initially advertised when the city hall was built due to the solar panels, geothermal heating and cooling, and the wind turbines? That was one of the big features of the city hall, celebrating as a leading green city. And why wasn't the turbine on the farthest west side turned in almost a year?
Those are good questions. I can tell you the wind turbine, the contract that we have, it's with a company called Johnson & Mello, and we pay $42,000 a year for that equipment. We've been in contact with Johnson & Mello on several occasions. They've been here a couple times, trying to get the turbines working again. The preliminary investigation leads me to believe that we are not saving any money by having those wind turbines. My understanding, with the limited information I have so far, is they provide power to just the outer lighting of City Hall, and we pay $42,000 a year for that. We've been trying to get more information from Johnson & Mello in terms of, I want to see what we're saving. We've yet to receive that. We have another company called Johnson & Johnson who's kind of doing an audit of energy efficiency. And part of that audit is going to be a definitive answer as to whether or not we're getting ripped off with the wind turbine contract. We do have a signed contract. I think we're maybe another 7 or 8 years locked into it. And so if we're not getting our money's worth, we're going to have attorneys thoroughly review that contract, explore our options about getting out of that contract. And so I don't have all the answers, but the process is underway in getting those. And I can't give a time frame as to how soon it will be that we get an answer. I can tell you we're not happy with Johnson & Mello, the company who we made several calls and requests for them to come in and take a look and fix the problems. So we'll have more information on that moving forward.
Okay. The next one you may have covered a little bit, but has the city considered, or have you considered, any type of wheel tax or other additional revenue sources that may further burden our already burdened resources or residences?
Ultimately, I think that's something that's going to be addressed by the city council. I think it'd be them that would decide whether or not to adopt the wheel tax. My opinion is I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think we need more tax here. Would it be beneficial to have funding to fix roads that we desperately need to fix? Yes, but I think it's more important right now to make sure that the cost of living here doesn't go up.
Okay. Different topic. What, if any, plans does the administration have for bringing revenue into the city? Or you talked a little bit about economic development. Anything you'd like to elaborate on?
Well, we are going to have the opportunity to have a quick fix of our financial problem, bring a lot of revenue in if we have an offer that makes sense with the selling of our water department. But I think a lot of it, the increasing the assessed value, to me, is the biggest, the most important thing that we need to do. And again, we're just going to be aggressive in terms of trying to bring business here. There's probably not a lot of people that know about Lake Station. So we spend time researching possible big businesses that might be expanding and growing, and we're proactively reaching out to some of these businesses randomly, just asking if they're interested in maybe coming to Lake Station. Haven't had any luck yet, but we're going to continue to try. I think one of the other big focuses is on our reputation in terms of, people wanting to come here and buy houses and fix them up and sell them. Another big way to increase our assessed value is to be more business friendly, more friendly to our residents in terms of working with them when they're purchasing a house and fixing it up and then they're going to sell it or rent it out. If they're making the property nice, we need to do a better job of working with them. We've heard complaints about how our inspectors have treated some of the people who are doing this construction. We investigate every complaint, we take it serious. We try to instruct our inspectors, our code enforcement people, that we want to take the approach that we want to enforce the rules, but we want to work with people, and we want to be appreciative that you're willing to do work here in Lake Station and help our community. And so I think that was lacking in the past, and we still have a long way to go moving forward, but we try to emphasize that every day, and we try to work towards getting better at that every day. So I think the biggest thing now is just we need people to move here. I feel strongly right now that there's probably more people that want to move out of here than move in here. And so, we need to do things like be a little more friendly. And we need to make it more affordable to come here. So.
Okay. Similar front, what can the city do about empty and abandoned homes?
Demolish them. We are in the process of, we have an application in, community development block grant. We're going to receive about $100,000 in proceeds. We were asking that those funds be allowed to be used to demolish homes. We have a list of about 25 homes that are on there, and demolishing them I think is the best route to go. A lot of these homes are in such disrepair that you can't. They're beyond the state of repair. And so one big issue that you have with some of these homes, some of them, like an example would be on the river. They're in a floodplain, and the owners just let them go. They stop paying the taxes, and nobody wants to buy them. And then, so the city's stuck with maintaining those. If we don't maintain them, then, we get complaints from residents. But ultimately, we're not the owners of them. So when you have properties like that nobody buys at tax sale, and nobody wants, because they're in a floodplain, one of the big things that we're trying to accomplish with the Calumet River Advisory Basin is to get the repairs done or the work done to where we're no longer in a floodplain along the river. Because if we can accomplish that and get those properties out of the floodplain, I think somebody would be willing to come in and buy them and develop them. But until that happens, their values are substantially less. And so, we're really trying to focus on pushing the issue with getting some things done in that river to help alleviate some of the flooding problems. So hopefully that's something that'll be accomplished sooner rather than later.
Okay. Is there any plans to clean up or do anything with the various car lots across the city?
I think the first thing that we need to do is draft better ordinances that give a little bit better guidance on what the rules and regulations are, and then there are plans to start enforcing those. We were probably 2.5, 3 months without a zoning enforcement officer. One of the big challenges we have with zoning is we have $7,400 in the budget to pay a zoning officer. That results in 15 hours a week of time that he can spend dealing with these issues. And we probably, right now, with all the issues going on, we need somebody to spend probably 100 hours a week to get to all the issues. And so one of the things we're going to do moving forward is, especially next year, we're going to start working on the budget for next year. We're going to try to change some things around where we can get full-time code and zoning officers, because code enforcement is the same thing. We have 28 hours a week, one guy, that's all that's in the budget. We can't exceed the budget, so we're going to try to have that we're going to present to the council and ask that they increase the budget next year to allow more manpower to address these issues. But we have every intention of enforcing the rules. We need to adopt clearer rules, and then we need to enforce them equally and uniformly. And I know a lot of the council members are on the same page in terms of needing more manpower to address these issues.
Let's see, jumping around a little bit. Will the city be exploring the immigration prison option as revenue? Didn't think it was going to be easy, did you?
That's well, that's that's an interesting, there's a lot of information that we need to be gathered in terms of, I've read in the paper that there's some strong opposition for reasons really beyond my knowledge. I haven't read a lot about what the issues are. My understanding is it's a for-profit prison. I don't think anybody can argue with the fact that if they built an $80 million facility and we were the beneficiary of $2.4 million in property tax revenue, that wouldn't be a good thing. But, that's obviously not the only issue. I mean, the other issue you have to look at is if you bring a prison into a city, is anybody going to want to come and build a business around that area? And so, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the Michigan City prison, I don't think I see any residents or businesses anywhere around that prison. And so, there's a lot of factors that probably go into that. If somebody comes to me and says, hey, we need to really look into this and weigh the pros and the cons, just like anything else, I'm open to opening that up for conversation, just like anything else. So, but I really don't have enough information to say, yeah, this is a great idea, or no, it's a bad idea. But we might end up having those conversations at some point in the future here, so we'll see where we go from here.
Okay, what's the status of the roundabout, and does the city think we still need one, or we need one?
It's been a while since we've talked about the roundabout. The Regional Planning Commission that we have the grant through has been understanding of our financial situation and kind of allowed us to put this project on hold. I think the former council kind of tabled the issue as to whether or not we're going to move forward with the roundabout and left it to the new council. We're in a situation to where we've already received some funding and used that funding for engineering work on this project. I think somewhere around $110,000 worth. This was a large part of this project was the funds were going to come from grant money. The city had to come up with, I think, a $400,000 match requirement for this grant. And so basically where we sit now, because we've already expended money, is if we choose not to go forward with the roundabout, then we are still going to have to pay back, come up with $110,000 to pay back the government for the grant money we've already received and spent. And if we choose to go forward, we're going to have to come up with another $290,000 to pay for the matching portion, the additional match of the grant. And so it's not a good situation. I think that's why the Planning Commission has been patient with us, because they know whichever way we choose, we don't really have the money to move forward at this point. My understanding in talking with the council, my personal opinion, I don't think we need a roundabout. I don't think the council as a whole is in favor of a roundabout. There are some other benefits that were going to result from the grant money, which would include, I think, piping and infrastructure work that was going to help solve some of the flooding issues at that area and in that location. There's going to be an underground pipe that was sent, and it's too bad we can't just do the piping and squash the roundabout, but that's not an option. So right now it's on hold. It's probably going to continue to be on hold until we have money to even get to the point where we need to make a decision. Because when we make a decision, we're going to have money either way. And that's not a good situation, but it is what it is at this point.
Okay, a little bit back to the water company, the water department. If we do sell out the water department, isn't the company going to charge more for our water? Or how do you know that they won't?
in my review of the rates, we're at, the water rates on a per $1,000 basis are 1,000 gallon usage, which would be at 1. For when you want to compare Indiana American Water's rates to the City of Lake Station's water rates, for our first and foremost, we both have what's called a base rate, which means if you have the ability to turn your water on, even if you don't, you're going to pay a base fee. Indiana American Water's base fee is $14.87. City of Lake Station's base fee is $16.17, I believe. And then for the first 3,000 gallons, Lake Station's water rate, I believe, is $5.28 per 1,000 gallon. When you get to the 4,000 to the 7,000 or 7,000 gallon consumption range, Lake Station's water rates jump up to $7.05 per 1,000 gallons. And then if you get to the 8, which most people don't, plus, our water rates go back down to $5.95 per 1,000 gallons. Indiana American Water's rates, it's a flat rate for the first 15,000 gallons, and that's $4.37 per 1,000 gallon. And so, if you're somebody like me who has a consumption of a 6, and we sold to Indiana American Water and adopted their rates, my bill would probably decrease from anywhere from $12 to $15 a month just for the water. If you're somebody that consumes a 1 or a 2, you're not going to realize as much savings, but they're still going to go down. And so Indiana American Water is regulated by the Utility Regulatory Commission, which, just like NIPSCO, if you want to increase your rates, you have to go down state in front of the Regulatory Commission with organized opposition, probably attorneys fighting against your rates going on. You have to have probably a week-long trial trying to convince an administrative law judge that the rates should go up. Do their rates go up? They do go up. They usually probably ask for 10% increase and get 1. But a 1% increase on $4.37 per 1,000 gallons, I don't think it's that much or a noticeable difference. And so, the water rates, I think there's kind of a misconception in terms of, people think that right now we regulate our rates, and our rates are higher than not only Indiana American Water, but Aqua is another company, private organization that runs a water company at profit. Their rates are lower than ours. So is it really a good idea for us to be in control of our water rates when we're not supposed to be running it for a profit, but our rates are higher than those who do? Maybe we're not efficient. I can tell you we're not efficient. We also have several $1 million in infrastructure repair that needs to be done in the city. We did get the new plant. My understanding, probably 25% of the piping maybe underground was new, but the rest is from the 1940s maybe, 1920s, I don't know. It's old. And we have all this new plant, new water running through 100-year-old pipes. By selling the water, that would be something that would be no longer our responsibility. We're not equipped right now. If we had an emergency with a water issue, we're not equipped to probably handle that in-house. And so it would be quite expensive to have to call somebody out to come and fix that issue. So, what was the question? I think I got on a tangent.
I think you answered it.
Did I? All right.
About the water rates.
All right.
Okay, completely different topic. What are the ordinances for fireworks, and when and how will they be enforced?
The ordinance for fireworks. Ooh, that's a chief.
Give me 1 second here,
We got the police chief.
You want the microphone?
Between the hours of 5 p.m. and 2 hours after sunset, between June 29th and 30th, and July 1st to 9th. between the hours of 10 a.m. and midnight on July 4th, and between the hours of 10 a.m. December 31st and 1 a.m. January 1st.
So that's
Did everybody hear that?
And I guess if you want to enforce, you have to talk to him, right?
You'd have to call the police.
Call the
yeah,
police, yes.
for that.
Okay.
I guess, or code enforcement, since it is
What's
a
that?
code. Or code enforcement, it is a code violation.
And typically, you just call the police, either through the 911 center by dialing 911 or the 660-0001, which that number is listed on the Facebook page.
Okay, actually, there's questions related to the financial side. You said in November that we were going to run out of money to make payroll. How will you get past that?
Well, one of the options is, we have two separate funds, really. We have a general fund with a lot of other funds that are combined with the general fund in the same bank account. That's the bank account that is going to be overdrawn by November 1st. We do have, separate from that, our water and sewer, our water funds and sanitary funds. And those are separate because it's self-revenue generating. Those revenues come from people who pay the water and sewer bills. And there's state law that suggests that your water and sewer rates have to be related to the cost of providing those services. And so, we do have, at that time, we're planning, because of some of the savings and working on trying to be more efficient with the water and sewer funds, we're going to have, hopefully, some cash in there. And we are able to borrow from those funds. We do have to pay those back. I think where we've gotten in trouble in the past is borrowing and then forgetting to pay it back to the water and sewer. And so, one of the options, hopefully at least for half of that, is to borrow money. So from the water and sewer, because we don't have to pay interest on that. If not from the water and sewer, we might have to look at other borrowing options. We just did get a comprehensive list of all the properties that the city owns, and we have some nice parcels. We also have a lot of supplies and things like that that we might be able to do without. We're looking into possibly selling off some of those properties. We have somewhere between 20 and 25 acres of developable land over by Bailey School. That might net a good return if we sold that, and preferably we'd like to sell it to somebody who's going to do some kind of development there. But I just got the comprehensive list last week, so in all likelihood we're probably going to have a public auction, start auctioning off some of these properties, and hopefully that will help offset too. And then the other possibility, we might not have a choice, is temporary layoffs to cut costs. We're hoping we're going to do everything we can to avoid that from happening. We suffered 18 layoffs last year. We did bring some of those back on a part-time basis, but I think we're probably about 12 or so short from where we need to be. So, that's kind of a last resort, and hopefully we don't have to do that. And so, a combination of the borrowing and selling off the property hopefully will allow us to get through the rest of this year. So, even if for some reason the sale of the water does come to fruition, it's going to be at least, I think, a 6-month process with all the hearings and notices, and then ultimately has to be approved by the Utility Regulatory Commission as well. So, there's really no way to expedite that process to help us this year. But those are basically our options at this point. If we have to, very, 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 very last resort, get creative with the financial consultants and figure out a creative way to borrow money. But borrowing is expensive, and you pay a lot of fees and interest when you borrow. So if you don't borrow from your sanitary or sewer.
Is there any updates on selling the corner property with the old city hall? Is that, do you have any potential?
We haven't had one call. Of course, we don't have a for sale sign out there either, I guess. But maybe we'll stick a for sale sign out there and see if we get any hits. But I mean, I don't, my understanding is that water tower is a big hindrance. And so we were kind of waiting to see the outcome of that before. If we sell it now, we probably have to give it away. If we sell it with no water tower on there, we could probably make a substantial sum of money. So I think we're going to try and wait and see what happens with the water.
I think the last question we have is, what do you view as your biggest success since you've taken over?
Biggest success. Yeah. Probably, I think the thing that I'm most proud of is immediately joining and continuing to move forward with the Shared Ethics Advisory Commission and becoming a member and actually following through with it and getting the training and